It is 6:49. This is your morning in 8 minutes. A 16-year-old boy is dead after a shooting at an apartment complex just off Middlebrook Pike in West Knoxville.
KPD says another boy will soon face charges in that death. It all happened at the Big Oaks Apartments just after 11 o'clock yesterday morning. When officers got there, they found the teen dead in the breezeway on the first floor. We're learning the complex hires private armed guards through the Knoxville company Trinity United Security. Apparently, those guards work in short shifts, but were not working at the time of the shooting. KPD tells us the 16-year-old suspect was initially arrested on site on a warrant connected to unrelated charges. We expect to know what charges he'll face once the juvenile petitions are filed.
Right now, the suspect accused of stabbing his roommate to death in Philadelphia, Tennessee, is now charged with first-degree murder. We broke this story just before going on the air yesterday morning. The Loudoun County Sheriff's Office says Eric Santano stabbed his roommate, Daniel Cisneros, during a fight at a home on Old Lee Highway just around midnight Thursday. And we're learning more about how Eliza Fletcher died. An autopsy report reveals she was shot in the head. A toxicology report reveals fentanyl was also in her system. The 34-year-old mother was kidnapped while jogging near the University of Memphis. Police say Cleotha Henderson kidnapped her, then killed her. He remains in jail. Governor Bill Lee and legislative leaders are announcing a plan to help the TBI with sexual assault kits.
They want to speed up the hiring process for 25 additional forensic lab positions. The state says taking this action ahead of the regular budget process will help expedite the TBI's efforts to expand testing capacity and reduce the turnaround time for sexual assault kits. This means 6 new lab positions are being added here in Knoxville. And happening today, after going unidentified for more than 70 years, an East Tennessee veteran will finally get a proper burial today. Sergeant Ross Thompson from Maryville died in World War II. Since then, he's been buried in multiple unknown graves in the Philippines. Thanks to dental records, officials were able to identify his body. He'll be buried today just outside of Seattle, Washington, a location chosen by his grandson. And right now, Hurricane Ian heading towards the Carolinas after bulldozing its way through Florida.
Hurricane warnings are in place all along the coast this morning. People living there preparing for life-threatening flooding, storm surge, and strong winds from Georgia up through North Carolina. President Joe Biden has already declared an emergency in South Carolina and ordered federal assistance to supplement state, tribal, and local response efforts. Meanwhile, across Florida, the destruction can be seen from the air for miles. So far, 15 people have died. Officials say they expect that number to go up. Search and rescue operations continue. The Florida National Guard has aircraft pulling people off of roofs. People are still trapped in their homes, while dozens of homes are underwater. Ian is tied as the 4th most powerful hurricane to hit Florida.
And back here at home, Tennessee Governor Bill Lee signing an executive order allowing first responders to travel faster to Florida. He's waiving all restrictions for trucks and other vehicles carrying supplies to the Sunshine State.
A bill that would keep the government running is headed to the House after passing the Senate last night.
The measure provides enough money to keep the government funded through December 16th. The bill keeps all federal agencies afloat and also provides $12 billion for Ukraine. It passed on a bipartisan basis, now heads to the House. If it passes there, it will also require President Joe Biden's signature. The deadline to pass the bill is tonight at midnight.
Unemployment rates are dropping nationwide as businesses are hiring more workers. The department says the number of first-time unemployment benefits claims tumbled to 193,000 last week. That is lower than expected. Analysts say it's a sign companies are doing their best to keep workers. Meanwhile, mortgage rates continue to surge for the 6th week in a row. According to Freddie Mac, the average 30-year rate is sitting around 6.7%. That's the highest level since July 2007. This comes as the Federal Reserve raised interest rates another 0.75 percentage point to curb inflation. And the Duck Duck Goose consignment sale continues this morning at the Knoxville Expo Center. You can stock up on fall and winter clothing for your kids, plus shoes, sporting goods, and everything you need from newborn to teenagers. It's all 50 to 70% off retail price. This year, organizers tell us they have more inventory than ever and expect more than 25,000 people to come and shop. That sale runs through tomorrow.
WVLT, proud to be your official station of the Vols. It's a quiet weekend on Rocky Top. Maybe that's needed. The 8th-ranked Vols football team on a bye week following that big win against Florida. I'm still recovering. I don't know about you at home. 1 week from tomorrow, the Vols will be in Baton Rouge taking on the LSU Tigers in Death Valley. Kickoff for that game is at noon on ESPN. One player the Vols are going to need next week, star wide receiver Cedric Tillman. According to our partner Chris Lowe from ESPN, Tillman is recovering right now after ankle surgery. The senior was hurt late in the first half of the Akron game, and he did not return. Chris Lowe says Tillman hopes surgery would safeguard against being out for an extended period of time. The Vols' next game at LSU Saturday at noon. Tillman could be ready to play. We'll keep you updated as soon as we get his status. We'll let you know.
It is 6:55. We want to get a look at your first alert traffic now. Good news on this Friday morning. That commute is running smoothly even as you're moving around Knoxville on the interstates and main roads right now. You're on time. Here's a live look at I-75 southbound right at Merchant Drive. We are just ahead of that morning rush, but you can see it's already starting to get just a little bit busy out there.
Your first alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Heather Haley.
65. I zoomed out to remind you we are catching those winds from Hurricane Ian. You can see that eye wall there where the most intense winds are, and that will likely be making landfall this afternoon just northeast of Charleston. Still a Category 1, those winds 85 miles per hour, likely to stay a Cat 1 as it makes landfall this afternoon, pushes clouds to then rain. Now the massive scale of that rain is what still spreads out tonight, but it just doesn't quite stick around all weekend. So when that stays a little further east here with that center of low pressure, that tapers off that rainfall potential, especially western half of our area versus eastern half. I mean, look at this difference. I'll add it up all weekend. Okay, there's a few light showers on Sunday. We got to count still, but the bulk of the rain is tonight into Saturday. So that's where in the rain forecast where you live, you got about 1/4 to 1/3 of an inch. Now, southern to Central Valley, a few hundredths on the plateau to the Tennessee-Kentucky line, another 1/4 of an inch. Notice this blue 1/2 inch to 1 inch line up along far northeast Tennessee to the 1.5 plus going up towards the Tri-Cities. So that's where we're continuing to monitor that rainfall for you going into your weekend. On and off rain tonight, then tapers off to a 60% coverage tomorrow. So I've got the latest on that track for you coming up on the CW.
All right, Heather, thank you very much. We're headed over to WBXX for 2 more hours on this Friday. We'll see you there.